Northwest Jersey's own wrnj, Dave Kelber here with you. So glad to be on a Saturday. Well, we are at 15 past the hour of 9 o'clock, and I have been certainly waiting all morning long to talk to this next gentleman. You know, incidents of bullying are indeed up, and, well, we know as more and more kids and even adults interact with people, they are bullied at school, elsewhere, even in a job sometimes. And so I have invited our next guest, who is a bullying expert and the author of a book on the subject titled The Self-Confidence Factor, A Parent's Guide to Bullying Prevention. And so I would like to welcome once again to the program Carl Romain. Good morning, Carl.
Thank you, Dave, for having me on.
Well, you're welcome. It's good to talk to you once again. We certainly enjoyed our last conversation. And just so everybody knows, I want to just tell everybody that it's kind of a juxtaposition of the kinds of things that we'd be talking about. But Carl is a world champion and United International Kung Fu Hall of Fame inductee. And Carl, we talked in our last get-together about how you became a Kung Fu champion, but we do want to talk and spend the bulk of the time talking right now about your book and about bullying.
Yes.
Why do you think incidents of bullying are up? What's causing that?
Well, I recently read an article that part of it is the political climate. A lot of people differing as far as their opinions on our politics and choosing sides and not doing it in the most respectful way. I know that many friends are not speaking to each other. They haven't forgiven each other for different viewpoints, not allowing or honoring other people to have a different viewpoint. And so it's turned into something that's just created a lot of tension and created a lot of animosity, really.
That's
it's a big part of it.
That's so interesting that you say that, because even in my own family, my wife and I really cannot express our political opinions because they differ from family members we love dearly, and we know that would create some conflict. But when does something like that become bullying, however?
It becomes bullying when you basically don't allow the other person to have an opinion and you're persistent, because bullying is a persistent, ongoing behavior, right? And so when you persistently push the other person to try to sway them over to your side, you're not really listening. And then it also becomes like harassment, teasing, and just a kind of ongoing, really. And you see a lot of that going on in social media. I spoke to somebody even this week who actually said she had to unfriend her friends because they just continued to post. She had made a post in reference to the Golden Globe speech by Meryl Streep.
Yeah, right,
and her
right.
friends just continued to harass her to the point where she just said, you know what, I'm just going to unfriend them.
Yeah, and sometimes
that's how she ended it.
Sometimes that's exactly what you have to do. Just to relate a quick story, my 6-year-old granddaughter, who is in kindergarten, came and sat next to me knowing that I'd been a teacher for 32 years, and she said, Poppy Dave, I think I'm being bullied. And I said, well, why is that? She said, I even got hit. And I said to her, and the advice I gave her was, I said, you need to let people know when something like that happens, especially if you're hurt. But how has the internet changed this equation? I mean, you've alluded to it from a standpoint of saying that, and you see almost every day a story about somebody who is either committed suicide or has been severely injured as a result of internet activity. And, we just wonder why this is occurring.
Sure. 1,100 young people commit suicide every year because of bullying. 95% of parents say they know what's going on with their children online, while the kids say only 65% really have an idea of what they're doing online. So there's a big, disparity there. The parents really need to be more aware of what's going on with their kids' online world. And one of the things that my book talks about is really the idea that, we really need to instill a sense of self-confidence in our children, because I believe self-confidence is going to make the biggest difference. And I give skills, tips, tools, techniques that, parents can use to really help their child be more confident in any situation, which is really what we teach in the Martial Arts Academy. And I've seen many kids, come in who have been bullied or were victims of bullying and literally turn the situation around, and in most cases never even having to lift a finger, but just simply changing who they are and how they approach things, and their ability to stand up for themselves and even speak up. So those are the types of things I think will make the biggest difference.
So, Carl, what you're saying is that as a result of the individual and the young person being able to defend themselves against a person that might be even larger, that gives a person self-confidence.
hmm Well, that's a part of it. We also do leadership training and providing our students with social skills and learning, again, how to properly stand up for yourself. We do this thing with the ABCs, and C is communicate with confidence. Don't use insults, but, say what you mean and mean what you say. If the answer is no or stop bothering me or whatever it is, be very direct in your approach and how you communicate that.
Carl, what can a parent do if their young person comes to them and says, Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to school anymore because I am being bullied? What can a parent do?
Yeah, at that point, it's late in the game, to be honest. It doesn't mean that it's impossible to turn the situation around, but you want to first create a situation or an environment where your child feels like they can come to you and talk to you. That's the first thing. Second thing is you want to teach your child how to handle the situation. And I believe the best way to do that is through role playing. That's what we have found to be the most successful way in our academies. The third step is once the child has tried to handle it themselves, then as a parent, if the situation doesn't change, you need to step in and speak to, the people in charge, letting them know this is what's going on. My child has taken these approaches and nothing has worked. And then your final step, if nothing works, is to really, go to, the highest authority you can within the school system and address it. And if you have to, get a lawyer to do that with you. You must protect your children at the end of the day.
Absolutely. You're quite right. And, that is really kind of the crux of the whole thing. And, some parents have even gone to the extreme of actually taking the student out of that particular school and even moving to a new district. But before they do that, the child really has to have a sense of self-confidence because it's even worse sometimes when you move
That's
into a
right.
new environment. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah. When I was writing the book, there was a horrible story of a young woman who, had been bullied. She left a school, went to a different school. The bullying continued. She attempted suicide unsuccessfully. She then was moved to another school and finally, just had it and was successfully completing suicide, unfortunately.
Oh,
But
boy.
she never
Wow.
really got, they tried to help her, but she didn't have that sense of self-confidence instilled in her, and that's the thing, they say you can run, but you can't hide.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you really need to think about, well, how can I help my child to be confident? And it's not just for today, it's for tomorrow as well. Statistically, we found that if a parent was bullied, didn't get the help they needed, more than likely their child will be bullied as well.
Is that
And
right?
so, yeah, we've seen it go through generations. And then, of course, that parent's reaction is over the top. So realistically, the child needs to get the help they need, and the parent needs to get the help they need to be able to help their children. And that's why I wrote the book. And like I said, if you get the book, The Self-Confidence Factor, you'll see some of the skills and techniques and ideas that I share on how to do exactly that.
Carl, our time together is so short that we really can't get into too much more except to encourage folks, particularly those parents, those individuals who have young folks who are experiencing and have expressed the fact that they're being bullied in either school or wherever they are. So let's tell everybody, first of all, once again, the title of your book and how they can get a copy.
Sure. The title of the book is The Self-Confidence Factor, A Parent's Guide to Bully Prevention. You can get a copy on Amazon. It's easy to find. You can look me up as the author. That's SIfu, S like Sam, I like information, F like Frank, U like university, Carl with a K, Karl, Romain like the lettuce without the E, Romain.
All right, Carl. Well, that's certainly good suggestions. Congratulations on your book. It's certainly
Thank you.
a needed commodity, and thank you also for the work you do with young folks and even adults in ensuring that they are not bullied and that they understand how to combat bullying when it occurs. Carl Romain, thank you so much for talking to me.
I appreciate it.
Good to talk to you again, and maybe we can
too.
explore this again sometime as well.
Yes, look forward to it.
All right, Carl. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy learning from the Hackettstown Education Association. Education is the key that opens all doors in life.